this is part 2 of Making a Mentor with Dave from Sounds from the Street. If you've not checked out part 1, please do that first. If not, enjoy the episode.
So I suppose one thing I'm interested in is when did you first think, I think not only I want to be a promoter, but I think I can do it. Like, I think I have the skills for it. And like, what is that about you that just can kind of fall into it naturally? Like you kind of told us in the pub just then that you kind of just, I think that says a lot about your personality, maybe, that you can just summon something like that.
I think at the beginning I knew a lot of bands and I've been watching bands. It's just I just went for it. Just thought I'd give it a go, and a lot of people came. So I thought, right, let's do another one.
Yeah.
And another one, and you have your bad nights, but I think if you're up and coming promoter, don't be disheartened if you get 5-6 people. It happens. It does happen. You learn from it. Think, right, what can I do differently? What can I do more of? And you make the next one better.
Mm.
Would you say there's something between each of the gigs that you've sort of adapted and changed over time? Like, if you look at your first Dave stock compared to what you're doing now, what would be like the key differences that you've learned over time and you're now putting into your new
Dave Stock
events?
was the name of it originally. I don't think we've said that here.
We haven't
yet. Yeah,
that's true, yeah.
That was the name of it before Sounds of the Street.
Yeah, so we went from Dave Stock doing charity gigs to Dave Stock Promotions.
Oh yeah.
And then once I kind of changed music tastes a bit and decided I wasn't really doing the same stuff, I thought it needs rebranding. I think it got stale for a bit.
Yeah.
So it needed a new name, something that suits it more. And
yeah, and I suppose what we kind of experienced from going to that event of the local kind of Wigan scene is very much a Sounds from the Street. Like.
That's what I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be like a big party and that kind of atmosphere, and did you go in the green room?
Yes.
Where the bands were. It's like, I want bands to mix and
them writing their thing on the wall. We should maybe.
Yeah, that's quite.
You can tell that story
yeah.
actually, like, cause I think it's quite interesting, like how you came up with that. Or
well, that's not me. That's the venue.
That's the venue.
Yeah, the venue were very supportive. They throw quite a few things my way and to the other promoters and what do you think about this, and we're doing this. Like you probably saw our banner on the wall.
Yeah, I saw it.
So where the pay desk is each promoter's got like a big, doing a big banner with all your social media.
Oh, got ya.
Social media handles, you call them?
Yeah.
Handles, which is pretty cool. Yeah, she's Emma at the Bill there, she's been dead good, dead supportive. She's really turned the place into a, what's the word? The place to be, I think.
Yeah.
It's right in the centre as well. I
mean,
used to say that. It's in a really good location. We were gassed when we turned up.
But it's changed so much. It went through a stage of the PA and sound not being very good, and it put bands off for a while. And if the PA and sound and stuff like that isn't good, then bands will be put off playing.
There's only so much you and your sound engineer can do to make that sound better as well, isn't it?
So it's been it's more like boxed in now, and the guy doing the sound there, Rob,
we got told about him a lot, interestingly. I thought it was an interesting thing to mention. Everybody said, bands, even people just watching, the sound in here is amazing. This particular guy, because he sits and drums. And
he's
an interesting fella, right? Because we wouldn't have really, we always thought it was interesting, but multiple people came over and said, the sound's really good in here, and it's this chap's dead good as well that does. Is he a regular there? Is that
he works tirelessly. Nothing's ever a problem for him. Just he's been doing sound before I started. He was doing sound at the other place, the original place, the Tavern. I used to do my gigs. He's been in bands before that are great. A band called Riggets. Go and listen to Riggets. He used to drum in Riggets, like a 2-piece, but
oh, nice.
You could tell he was unreal, to be fair. I was watching his paradiddles, was like listening to he was tapping to like the beat of the band that we're on.
Yeah. Well, he did the sound check, so we got loads of things at the sound
We
check.
played it. Oh yeah, he played the drums on the
And
sound
I was
check.
listening back
good.
afterwards, and I was watching it, going, "Jeez, there he is."
It was one of the bands. I think it was.
Cavalier.
Yeah, well, I think it was their drummer.
The
said,
drummer
"Oh,
lyrics.
it's really good," and we've got our videos. I'm not going on after that.
There's a video of like him going, oh.
I think we probably took that.
Yeah.
It was funny. We were just sat on the back watching them all.
Yeah, but nothing's ever a problem for him. He does all. I think he does all weekend now. Well, Friday, Saturday. If there's a Sunday gig, sometimes they'll do that as well. But yeah, the sound. Big bands are always going about the sound, how good the sound is, but he's worked on that for a long time to get it. They had a new PA put in there a few years ago, because at one time it was just like the sound desk was like as big as a laptop, and but he had to work with what he had. But then the venue and they've come in and said, right, like let's put some money behind it, let's get a new PA and let's do the stage up, and what they've done is brilliant.
I think
To be taken seriously, because you've got like one or two other places that you've just got to kind of cut out that you've got to like be up there with the competition, haven't you? And
would you say it's the best? I mean, you're going to be biased, but would you say it's the best venue in Wigan in the centre?
it's got the best vibe. It's got I mean, there's the Old Courts as well, which is a big, massive place. If you get a chance to check it out, go and.
No way.
It's just
Is
got.
that in the centre? Whereabouts is that?
No, it's near the bus station, but they're like they've got theatre stuff on in there. They've got they have all kinds of stuff on. It's because it used to be like the old like courtrooms, so they still got the old like little. Where the.
Oh, I see. So literally an old court.
Where the not the lawyers, the judges would go and get changed and things like that, and so they just turned it all. I mean, what they've done there is amazing. They tend to have more tribute bands on more than anything.
I suppose they bring people
more
in,
established, probably bigger, older established bands and things like that. And whereas I think the Boulevard's more about local music and more like grassroots level. And well, saying that, we've had the Lathams and lottery winners.
Oh wow.
Discharge are coming up. With one of the other promoters, KDS. There's loads you can attract these bands. You can attract these bands now, because there's no way on the old like PA and stuff like that and set up that you get a band like the Lottery Winners coming.
Yeah.
Like who played at the Boulevard the other day from America? Cro-Mags.
Okay.
An old like hardcore band from America.
To the Boulevard.
Yeah.
It's interesting because now I've seen it.
I know, it's always different when you have the context of it.
I'd love to see.
We were both blooded.
I'd love to see them like these American bands going over, just like you'd see them in the Pound Bakery or something like that.
Literally. You think, no.
Hey man, what's his £2 for a pound?
Everyone that when they come up north, like, come to Wigan or even anywhere in this area, you get a pint for £1.80 in Wetherspoons, we'll stay here.
It's an interesting town. If you've got things like your Wigan kebab and stuff like that, like what's a Wigan kebab?
What is a Wigan kebab?
It's a pint of bar.
Yeah. Oh, pint of bar. I should knew that. I just didn't.
Yeah.
No way. Dipped in gravy.
I guess it leads on quite nicely really, because like I knew Wigan personally for like a lot of the clubbing scenes that go on around there, but there is quite a live sort of atmosphere in Wigan as well. So I guess like why is it that you picked Wigan? Is it just your local town, or did you see something there?
Just where I live.
Yeah.
Just felt like it was because I've been watching gigs there most of my life at the time.
So there's been quite a rich scene the whole time in Wigan.
Yeah, it seems like you were a not just a music fan, but actually a Wigan music fan.
Yeah.
Which I think is quite unique for how well it's done. Do you know what I mean? Because you've connected to that scene.
Yeah. From an early age, there was a few places there'd be a place that did acoustic nights, but it's like we were discussing earlier about the Wigan Music Collective.
Yeah.
They were a big reason for why it was so good at the time.
I don't know if you want to just like explain what the Wigan Music Collective
Right,
is.
so the Wigan Music Collective was a group of people, a committee almost of, all people that are into the music and from different backgrounds and stuff and different tastes, and they made most things happen in Wigan at the time. and they had the place called the Tavern. They did acoustic nights at a place called Rick's Bar, which I'm trying. I know Arctic Monkeys played Wigan a few times. I don't think
they played at Par Hall as well. I saw recently.
so there's quite a little just story about the Arctic Monkeys as well coming to Wigan. But there was always something going on in it. There was one or two other promoters at the time. There was a good indie promoter who made a good few things happen. Like he brought Pete Doherty here a few times. And
Nice.
I think the bass player from the Libertines had a band. He brought them a few times, and he was getting like quite big names coming in. I saw a band once called Selfish CUNT. And there'd been a lot of like press about him. Like
I wonder why.
I don't know if he's like the enemy, thought the live shows because they were like just chaotic.
Okay.
And they were on with one or two local bands who I knew, so I thought I'll go down and watch them, see what all fussing about. And I don't know, 10, 15 minutes in, and it got too much, and the guy who owned the building just went, pulled the plug out.
No way.
That's the first time I've ever, it's the first and last time I've ever seen that happen.
No way.
What was it? Just like being too loud, being too rowdy, or
Probably a mix of all things.
everything? That's such a good gig, that though.
Yeah, I bet it was funny to go.
It was. I don't remember too much about it because it was so long ago. But just this like chaotic guy on. There's probably videos on YouTube of not of that gig, but of that band. Just I mean, press helps a lot. When you get a band that's known for the live show. There's quite a few bands with a really good live show, like quite a chaotic live show that does it for me. I mean, it's good having bands that can play the songs and that, but they've always got to have that something else about them, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting because like I've recently, my phone's been popping up with a lot of just Guardian articles of star ratings of the Glastonbury sets. So there are people now who are going around and like
No
the Chili's
way.
tours and stuff. Yeah, so like you'll get star ratings of live performances and things now, which I've never seen before. But like, you know, it's just getting further and further out there in the media now, rather than just like, oh, here's an album and stuff. People going and actually. You know, I also haven't read the whole thing as well.
We say this in every podcast, but it is true. It is easier now to be in a band than it ever has been.
Yeah.
In my opinion. In terms of not just to kind of meet up in a garage, but to kind of meet up, record, produce, release of your own accord is the simplest in the last kind of 5 years that it's ever been.
Yeah.
And I think for that reason, you know, that's maybe what you're saying, that is, you know, you're getting a lot of bands, so it's got to be someone that has that something as well.
Oh, so everyone's on Spotify, right? But
Yeah, but what...
You said before about it's easy to be in a band. I mean, I've known bands to kind of like, 3 of them live in such a place, one lives in miles away,
Yeah,
one
yeah.
lives miles away, so how does that work? And then, but like now you've got, like you said, your technology to like kind of, they can practice ones on Zoom, or they can...
one person can record a bass line
And
in the bedroom,
send it
over to
across,
guitarist.
yeah,
You
they
can
can learn
write.
it that way. That's what bands were doing when through lockdown. I was, I think I was chatting to River, I think, and they were swapping ideas, but I think it was River backwards and forwards, and they were jamming that way, jamming on Zoom. Obviously, it wasn't ideal, but it was better than nothing, wasn't it? It was just...
I'd be terrified of the latency. I'd be like, everyone's half a beat off all the time. What's going on? And they're sat in their other rooms like, why is he half a beat off all the time?
It is a lot. I do think though, from that period, one thing I did think is it's great how innovative this is, but on some level, I do feel like there is something to be said for like artists in the same room.
Yeah,
Like, something
we
happens.
start grabbing
doesn't
that
it?
crack in it, and
So it makes you realise what you lack when it's not there. There you go.
Let's
That's
make a little noise.
That's the end of the camera.
Oh, then.
Right. Let's move. Yeah. Right, we're back.
Before we do, I forgot the questions that we were going to go into.
So we wanted to know.
Yeah, okay, cool. So one of the things that we did want to sort of ask is like, you talked about how you discovered artists, so you go and like search online for them. But if I was an artist trying to get onto one of your gigs, how would I get your attention? And when they're there, what is like a really great band to work as when they come to that.
For any young bands listening to this, you know, what would you say? You've worked with a lot of bands. What's a good way to get in contact with promoters or you specifically, and what makes them good to work with?
I think approach us with a message of not one. I think promoters hate this like generic one that's you can obviously see has been like copy and pasted. Yeah. I got one the other day and it was just.
Maybe not calling you by name or something. I'm trying to think of specifics. Like, if they
how
don't,
would you
I think keep it short and sweet is, you know, obviously follow us and then we'll obviously follow you back. Have some. It's either bands where they've not got any tunes. We've took the punt on a few bands without tunes. Like one or two.
What was it about them that you decided to give a go?
I mean, like Kane, I think I'd seen enough clips to kind of get a little bit of a feel of what they're about, and I think that maybe they would have fitted on my nights. Sometimes it might be a band that's looking for their first gig, which we take a lot of pride in giving bands the first gig, or a headline gig. But just, I would say probably keep it short and sweet. If you've got tunes, that's better. If not, put your gigs up and I'll come and try and see you. Or obviously, if you're local, you know, if you're Wigan based, we'll stick you on. Or it's always worth getting in touch with these promoters anyway.
Yeah. So it's about building up a bit of a actual relationship.
Have you got your phone with you? Have you got the email that they sent? We don't have to name them by name. I wonder if we could maybe read it.
That
It's a long one, and I can tell it's generic because it doesn't even say about gig. It just says festival.
Right, that is not a good start.
Yeah, you can just say like it's. I mean, I think I know of him anyway, because he's done gigs with other bands that I know of. I'd probably just say keep it short and sweet. Any links to social media pages is always good. You know, and if you fit on one of our nights, then we'll
an understanding of your genre. I feel like is something I think would potentially be important.
I think maybe an understanding what we're about. Don't approach if you're a metal band.
Yeah.
Or you know a band that won't fit on one of our nights.
Yeah.
You know, do your research. Just approach with a proper message.
Yeah, I think that's good advice.
Doesn't have to be like your whole like life story. Just
I think it's
a little bit of a bio of what you're about and stuff. Because I think what annoys me sometimes when you go on Facebook and a band's Facebook page and you go in the about section and there's hardly anything there. It's like Spotify. You get a few bands and you go on the kind of info section. There's nothing there. It just says like how many listeners. So a little bit of info is good, but not too much, I would say. Yeah,
like just the important stuff, I suppose. Okay, so I've got something interesting. I suppose what I'd like to know is, you know, based on all of your time doing this, what would you advise yourself on your first event if you bumped into them now? You know, you bumped into a younger version of yourself, and they say, "Oh, you know, I'm a future version of you." What would you tell yourself back then that you've maybe learned from years of experience that can't be taught, you know, from any kind of educator, you know, that's just something that a mentor can teach you?
Things like look after your bands, like I mean, I'm quite lucky in the sense of I can give them beer and pizza and stuff.
Yeah.
Make sure they don't go home empty-handed. Don't be a dick. Just you know, treat with respect and I mean a lot of it's just in your enthusiasm and your love for doing it, and don't, you know, keep it enjoy it.
Yeah.
And that was going to be my question to you as well, is like why do you do it? Because obviously you can make a bit of money on the side, you're working as well.
Yeah.
Alongside doing it. So what is it for you that gets you up in the morning and goes, you know what, can't wait for that gig tonight?
Because I know I'm helping bands out, and I've booked gigs for bands before, and I know how hard it is, especially if you're an out of town band. how hard it is to get a gig sometimes. And knowing that obviously they're coming in, the bands that so it can be bands I'm really into, some bands I'm giving a chance to, or they fit how
We've lost the camera, I'm afraid.
We have lost the camera. It's just dying out. Maybe at this point,
It just flashes up.
I'm just going to have to put a little still image, yeah. It'll be fine.
Do you
And we'll
reckon?
just carry it on, yeah.
I'm wondering whether I should just see what we can get out of my phone now. I'll just start it right now, because with the audio still going.
Keep it in.
Yeah, keep this in, no doubt.
I'm recording notes to do this.
Well, that's what I mean, because we've got the shots.
Gaz is fixing the shots because the camera's died at the minute.
There we are, we're on. I won't get long at that, but we'll see how it goes.
Got over 5 minutes there, let's go.
But yeah, and I suppose I'm interested in that point that you said before when we went off topic about, you know, a band being good to work with. Do you know what I mean? What, have you ever? I know you've probably not ever had any kickoffs with bands, but I think if I was in a band and I'd be nervous about how to be, you know, with the promoter and how to kind of, you know, it is being a good band to work with, you know, kind of keeping yourself to yourself and getting your parts right, or is it, you know, kind of just fitting in with the energy? I think it can be a bit, I suppose it depends gig to gig anyway.
Yeah.
But maybe what is it for you, you know, that you think, is it, what makes you book people again?
It can be because I've had bands that haven't brought you know, sold any tickets, but as soon as they've come on stage and like kicked into the first few chords, it's got people up. Like Bro Casino were one, Caned were another one. Just good fun bands, you know. I mean, I've had no horrible people, which I know there can be sometimes here and there, you know, arrogance. But I know a lot of the bands now have, you know, are all friends on Facebook now, and you kind of be, you know, they become mates for life kind of thing. Just be, you know, professional and just, you know, if I want something doing this way, then let's do it this way.
Yeah, respect it.
I get that.
Obviously, I'll take the, you know, their thoughts on it as well, because they're obviously more music minded, but instruments wise and stuff, and well, no, it's just come in with a view of just being, I suppose it is a promoter, just be yourself and treat bands with respect. And I love seeing bands that have come and they watch the other, but they watch each other's sets.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you know, I've had gigs where they're the only people watching, but I mean, there was a place in Wakefield, I don't know if it's still going, but he tried to say, obviously bands hate it when, you know, a band does a set and then they go off somewhere else, and he was trying to say, like, look, all bands that are playing, you have to watch each other's sets, but you can't be like, I mean, it's nice when it happens, but you can't force people. You can't force people to your gigs. If they want to come, they'll come.
It goes a long way though, but like you said, it's not a mandatory thing. I think they're the better bands then. They're just the ones that stand out and are there for the camaraderie of supporting each other and having a good time, rather than, yeah, I've got my paycheck, boom, I'm off, see you later.
Yeah, and I'd say the thing that you do with the beers and the pizza is definitely a way to kind of promote that kind of everybody getting along. Like, we definitely felt that from your event, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody kind of treated us like we were one of the bands. We were. I think they probably thought we were, maybe.
Two
but
guys rocking up with phones. Sticking
that's
up
what I mean,
their
yeah,
faces,
but no, I think it was, and you know, I think also we were inspired and surprised maybe a little bit by the ferocity of the Wigan scene.
Yeah.
You know, everyone knew everybody else's band name, knew what they were up to, and they were very proud of being in it, and I think that was quite inspiring to us, do you know what I mean? I think it was a great thing to see.
Yeah, I mean, I'll always do my research on bands and trying to get to know the names and watch their interviews and this and that. There can be, I think, the point in here where you think, you know, if I don't like these, why will anybody else? But I think you've got to kind of come away from that and just... I mean, I try to get through as many new bands as I can. I don't like putting on, you know, 3 or 4 bands that I've seen before. If I'm going to put like a 4-band night on, if it's 3 bands that I know, then bring one I don't.
Okay.
But I've always been, even from like the early days, of bringing a band that's not from Wigan, at least one. So if you've got like a 4-band night, it depends on who the bands are. Because I want those bands that people want to come out and see. Because not every band has that, or they've gone past that stage of having people coming out watching them. And there's I think a lot of people now are talking about different bands. They're all talking about these different bands, and even from like Liverpool, people are coming in, even like the other promoters. They've all got people coming in from other towns, because we've got the train stations, the two train stations very close to each other.
Yeah.
That really is working in our favour. We have people from all over coming watching the gigs coming to Wigan.
Yeah, because you've got two main lines. Going
Yeah.
Of
So
course, what's Central, and then the one we're on as well, isn't it? The one
Yeah,
like
so
the Glasgow one.
the Wigan Northwestern.
Yeah.
And then,
which is your warrant.
and then your Wargate's opposite it.
No,
Yeah.
But I mean, that's not to be confused with. And don't make the same mistake I made of going to St Helens and having St Helens Central and St Helens Junction. St Helens Junction's over yonder.
Yeah.
I was trying to look for a quick way back from Liverpool one day, and I thought, right, where can I go that's close to Wigan? St Helens, no St Helens Central, St Helens Junction. That must be close. That must be like Wigan, and it wasn't.
No. Well, I think we're kind of coming to the end. I think it's been great to chat. I think we've covered loads of really interesting stuff. I suppose one last thing I think is interesting to end on is, my impression of you, this is just my opinion, is that maybe you being so much of like a genuine music fan has been a massive part of why you've been able to do so well, in my opinion. I just wondered whether you agreed or whether you had anything to say on that, really.
Yeah, I mean, you'll always have your rubbish nights. But like I said to somebody else the other week who's a promoter, he didn't have a particular good night. So well, you just got to learn from it and just maybe make the next one a bit more less risk. Get that extra local crowd puller in. I think you've got to have your crowd pullers. Because for me, I just want people there. Money wise, I'm not. As long as I just want the band, the bands make something, that's great. Which they do tend to make, quite a bit. But I think the scary thing is though, they're so surprised at like even when I go to pay them, sometimes I'm like, what's this?
That would surprise me. I didn't know didn't know necessarily that you'd be. I think it is quite a great thing that you do care so much about that.
They have a good. I give them a decent, there's a decent pay scheme as well, because I think you don't always get that same what you get with me with other, like maybe the other bigger promoters. If a band brings, sells 50, 60 tickets, then they're going to get a shed load of money back.
Yeah.
Whereas I'll just take a bit and just put it towards like posters and, the treat stuff I give them, and maybe put towards having as a pot so I can improve my nights and look at these bigger bands and then getting locals on to support. We've got Deja Vega coming up, Courting from Liverpool.
What are the dates? Just because it's a good time to kind of see any of our listeners.
Deja Vega's our next one. That's the 2nd of September, and Courting is 23rd of October, which is a Sunday.
It's the first time that an episode has gone out where those dates are still actually relevant and people can go to those gigs, which is good. For the people who do want to go to them, like where can they find you online, and where can they sort of, for those bands as well that now know that they can
just come and find us on all your socials like Instagram, Twitter.
Sounds from the Street. We'll put
Sounds from the Street, yeah.
Yeah, we'll put a link.
Generally comes straight up.
Yeah, other than if it's the Jam.
That's what I did. I went past the Jam, and then it was next. So I was quite impressed with that, to be honest. Can't remember.
Well, that's where a lot of these things come from, innit? And song lyrics or song, albums or whatever. They're all band inspired, aren't they?
Yeah.
Generally.
Yeah.
I love it. Cool. Thank you so much for coming
Thanks
on.
so much,
for
guys.
having me.
Really good.
Nick will definitely be probably coming to some of your future things and probably bring our cameras, to be honest, won't we?
Yeah, well, we're so much better now as well.
Yeah. So true. So yeah, it's been a massive pleasure. Thanks again for coming on.
Thanks for
Thank you.
Here is what I find so interesting about Dave. One, the way people respond to him. 2, he lives the life of it. I mean, we spoke to Dave and we went for a drink in the pub around the corner before he started, and he must have mentioned 50 bands to us. And what, maybe 20 of them are successful. He lives the life of the promoter in the respect that he is aware of the bands in his scene, where they're up to, where they would fit, and is willing to do that work for no money.
I notice it outside of the podcast as well, so like you really get a feel for how passionate he really is about the music around him. But then when you watch the way that he markets himself, because we talked about it a bit in the podcast, but I think because he doesn't have intentions of going and specifically making one piece of content that's going to drive ticket sales, or it's going to do this, or it's going to do that, everything on his channel on like Instagram, for example,
he's quite active on social media in some respects.
Yeah,
I think it's like a slightly generational difference. Like you take somebody like our third podcast, who's obviously an events promoter of a totally different ilk, right? And it's like one's very focused on like short things that are going to gain a lot of traction, and one of them, like Dave's, a lot more like little bits here and there of him just being him. Is how he promotes himself. His personality and his taste is very much what Sounds from the Street represents.
I think one thing he might not have noticed about himself, because he doesn't explicitly say it outright, but the amount of contacts that he has around his local area. He knows all the different promoters, like the way that he talks about how they have their network in Wigan of the promoters that all go and speak together. I thought that was really interesting as well, is this idea that Wigan's not going to be the only town where actually from a higher perspective all the promoters do know each other, and they're all giving each other tips, they're giving each other the best up and coming bands. They're not working in a way where they're trying to fight each other out of business and they're competing with each other. They're actually working to try and create one
to get the bands seen. Like, I think they like the scene, do you know what I mean? I do think it seemed like a close-knit scene. So yeah, big respect to him for that one.
And shout out for being our biggest, most engaging fan on social media as well. He likes everything, absolutely everything.
Big respect. So the next podcast that we've got coming up is Cavalier. They're a band, self-produced, that we met at one of Dave's events. If you're interested in that podcast, follow us on our social media or follow our Spotify or any of our streaming platforms, and it'll be coming out on there.